Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas, and our third installment on the Phaedrus. It's the second half of the original document, pages 286 to 309. Let's go to block 1. We begin with the 5 aspects of genuine philosophical rhetoric. The Socratic critique of rhetoric is 5 aspects of genuine rhetoric. 1, there must be a knowledge of philosophy. It is required, along with knowing the truth of the subject matter. It's a dialectical master of art. False rhetoric only seeks to enchant the mind, instead of seeking the real nature of the subject matter. It is a dialogue as a living organism. You discern between universals and particulars through all of the debatable concepts. And then it's all about the soul, seeking the release of the soul from mere convention, from mere general opinion. It's true spiritual madness. And you pass through all the stages of spiritual madness to reach prophetic inspiration. And then you practice the overarching first principles of master art, which means defining the species, the natural species in the sensate realm, and defining the ideas in the divine realm. In other words, through dialectic between sensation and inspiration, you find the ideas, the ideal forms that govern sensate reality. That's what you're doing. You're defining the ideal forms that govern sensate reality, and you do that dialectically. Internal dialectic and external, going out of the self, and praxis positing, both ways. In talking about making it concrete, we go to block 2, which is all about knowing the nature of the soul and knowing the audience within whom you wish to posit the result of your argument. It's a rhetoric of persuasion. It is assisted by the art of speculative truth. Socrates calls it the art of speculative truth. It's philosophy. Philosophy is the art of speculative truth. You have to articulate the soul. Is it simple or multiform? We know it's simple. And you express the nature of the whole, the all-encompassing holistic view that encloses all of the ideas in their interrelatedness, in their mutual indwelling. And then there are 3 steps concerning the articulation of the soul. Define it as simple. How does it act? How does the soul become acted upon? How is it persuaded to form a deep written conviction within? A deeply imprinted conviction within. And then you apply through a doctrine of praxis based on the first principles of justice, the good, and truth. Justice, the good, and truth must prevail. All is abbreviated under justice, the good, and truth. Now we move on to block 3, and block 3 gives you the gist of the entire dialogue. Basically, you could take the Phaedrus and you could encapsulate it in block 3. Genuine rhetoric involves the 3 steps of the intelligent word. Genuine philosophical rhetoric involves 3 steps of the intelligent word. The intelligent word in itself, intelligent word going out of itself, and then the intelligent word returning inward to the soul. So block 3, note 1, forming the living word of knowledge. You must define the particulars, discern the soul, discover the modes of praxis, the practical avenue you're going to take, and then posit the truth. Then posit the truth. 2, positing the intelligent word in order to teach, in order to persuade, in order to create conviction, and always within the principles of justice, the good, and nobility. Justice, the good, and nobility must be the guiding principles. And then after this work of praxis, you return inward in return moment to inscribe the soul with a deeper understanding. True spiritual writing, inward writing on the heart, inward writing on the soul, which means to internalize the interrelatedness of the divine idea that you have discovered by going out of the self and then returning to the self. And only if you go through all three steps do you attain what Socrates calls, what Plato calls, philosophical wisdom. You must form the living word of knowledge. You must posit the intelligent word of knowledge. You must internalize the intelligent word of the relations of the idea. All of that, all three steps must be gone through to reach genuine philosophical higher rhetoric. Genuine philosophical higher rhetoric, which transcends all the false rhetoric that Socrates was aware of that he didn't care for. He had very specific guidelines. Block 1 gave us the 5 aspects of genuine philosophical rhetoric. There's a knowledge of philosophy. It is a dialectical working of the master of art. It is a dialectic as a living organism. It's alive and developing. And it does transcend convention. It does transcend opinion. And it is always guided by a dialogue between sensate realm and the realm of the divine ideas. And then, block 2, articulate the soul in all arguments. Define it as simple. How is it acted upon? How does it act? How is it persuaded to form a conviction? And again, be guided by justice, the good, and truth. And then the ultimate and the all-permeating truth of the entire 75-page document in this book is concluded in block 3. And that is a great summary of the dialogue of the Phaedrus. It's the 3 dialectical steps. You must form the living word of knowledge. You must form the living philosophical word of knowledge. Define the particulars, discern the soul, posit the truth, and then when positing the truth, you teach, you persuade, you try to seek to convict, to create conviction. You are guided by justice, you are guided by the good, you are guided by nobility. And then return inward into the self and internalize the relations of the idea that you've discovered. Then you return inward and you internalize the relations between the ideas that you have discovered through the work of praxis. So it's word of knowledge in itself, word of knowledge going out of itself, word of knowledge returning in the self to inscribe the heart. To inscribe the heart with a depth of understanding which Plato, through Socrates, declares is true philosophical wisdom. So it is genuinely a very well done dialogue. I like the Phaedrus. We had a very good introduction from Jowett, and then we got a good critique of rhetoric in the first half of the original document, and now we get the higher critique in the second half of the original document. And the higher critique gave us the 5 aspects of philosophical rhetoric in block 1. It gave us the 3 steps of articulating the importance of the soul in block 2, note 3. And then it gave us the 3 steps of philosophical dialectic, which can be applied to any of the dialogues of Plato and Socrates, but specifically for the Phaedrus in Block 3, forming the living word of knowledge, positing the intelligent word of knowledge, internalizing the intelligent word of the relations of the idea. All of this is excellent dialogue by Plato through Socrates, and it will give us the third part, the conclusion to the Phaedrus, 286 to 309. And next time we're going to take just the introduction, but we're going to take the introduction to the Protagoras. We'll take the introduction to the Protagoras, 309 to 320, just the introduction, 309 to 320, so very short. We'll just take the introduction next time to the Protagoras, and that's going to be 309 to 320, so it'll be very, very brief. But as a quick recap, Block 3, forming the living word of knowledge, we must define the particulars, discern the soul, discover the modes of praxis, and posit the truth. 2. Posit the intelligent word in order to teach, in order to persuade, in order to convict, guided by justice, guided by the good, guided by nobility, and then return inward and inscribe the soul in true spiritual inward writing. Internalize the relation of ideas. Reach philosophical wisdom. Acquire philosophical wisdom. That's the key to the Phaedrus. What are the 3 moments to acquire philosophical wisdom? They're given to us in the conclusion of Block 3. So great, very helpful lesson here, and Jowett did an excellent job, I think. That's going to wrap up 286 to 309 on the 3 dialectical steps of the intelligent word in the Phaedrus.